Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome back, dear learners, to this course on architectural thesis. My name is Dr. Vishal Chettry and I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of Architecture, Planning and Design at IIT Varanasi. In this presentation, we will focus on the details about drafting a building section for the thesis project or maybe for any architectural design project. Because previously we have focused on the drafting of elevation for the design project, and we have understood its entire detail about what message does elevation convey, how do we draft the elevation, and its specific annotations and other drawing details regarding elevation. So now let us focus on the building section of the architectural project. So this is the content for the presentation. We'll start with the recap of what was covered in the previous presentation, then we'll focus on the introduction to the building section, role of section in spatial expression, vertical connectivity, that the section showcases representation of human activity and interior layout, types of section and section drawing conventions generally followed in architectural drawings, key expectations and outcomes from building section, thereafter the conclusion, and some wrap up activities along with some resources that you can refer for further readings, and a brief introduction to what will be covered in our next presentation. So to give you a recap of what we had discussed in the previous presentation, which focused on building elevation, we understood that building elevations provide a vertical representation of the exterior facade, detailing the architectural elements that are present in the facade, the materials that has been used in the facade, and the overall form of the structure. So techniques for developing exterior facade involves composition, rhythm, material details, integration of openings, and the ornamentation if you have added any such kind of details in the structure. Design principles in elevation development focuses on balance, hierarchy, contrast, and harmony with the site context. Elevation drawing conventions includes scaled clear notation of material, window and door placement, line weights, and consistent labeling of the drawing. So all the dimensions, all the details about the elements that are being used, and also through line weight and the color or the shadow pattern, can all informations can reflect the various details about the elevation that you have drafted. So to start with the section, so architectural sections are the basic drawings that cut through a building, because sections generally it is some kind of 2D plane that is being used to cut the structure, an imaginary 2D plane to cut the structure and then showcase what can be viewed from that plane towards the surface. So whatever is visible, for example, if you cut a room and then you can see various elements, the structural elements as well as the interior elements of the design of the space that you have designed. So it includes information from your floor plan as well as from the elevation also, because at the end at both the end of the section, the building elevation, if there is any specific elements that is visible, so that has to be showcased in your building section also. And also in the floor plan you have to depict the line at from where this section line from where the section is drafted. So you have to depict a line in your floor plan and label it as A dash or B dash, and with that using that imaginary line in your floor plan, you have to cut the entire structure and then showcase the details regarding the structural members or the materials that are used to divide the spaces and the interior layout of the structure. So all these informations are generally expressed through the building sections. Then the importance in design, why is it so important in architectural submissions, is because it helps you to visualize the internal spatial organization. Though you have shown the internal arrangement of spaces in your floor plan, but that is at a 2D level and the orthographic projection. That means the horizontal space is being showcased in that floor plan, but in your elevation and in your section we see the vertical vertical character of the space. So how is your how is the layout of the space in your design is present in your design, that showcases the entire layout of the structure. So that is what is being visualized along with the internal spatial organization. The room layout, floor levels are being mentioned clearly, because that information you cannot find in your floor plan. It's just the horizontal space layout that is being shown, but to understand the vertical layout, the elevation is there, but through elevation you cannot visualize the interior spaces. It's just the exterior facade that will be seen in your elevation, but in your building section the interior layout also is visible. It communicates the structural system, that means the depth of the slab, the depth of beam, and the width of your partition walls or your exterior and interior walls, all that is visible. And if there is sunken floor anywhere, so that also is visible through your building section. And accordingly this drawing will help the contractor or the person who will execute the drawing, site supervisor, they will all be able to understand how the vertical design should be done for the structure. It helps to plan the building services, because the placement of HVAC or ducts or plumbing or electrical system, all this information is generally depicted through the section drawings. Then it also enhances the design communication, because it's a key tool to present ideas to client, contractors and stakeholders related to the several aspects like services or the structural elements or the internal space layout. So role of section in spatial expression is to explain the spatial relationship, that is sections clearly clarify how different floor levels are connected, showing voids, double height spaces if there is anything in your design, and transition between varying ceiling heights. It also helps one understand the interior volume. They enable a clear visualization of true scale and proportion of rooms that are there in the design, and also helps you understand how is light penetrating in your structure. So with the help of openings and all, you showcase the how the light is allowed and how the movement of air or cross ventilation is ensured in your structure. So all this is possible to understand from your section, but part of it is also possible from your floor plan, that placement of windows and all can be showcased. But to understand in totality, building section provides much more better explanation to these ideas. Then the vertical connectivity sections precisely illustrate all the intricate connections between floors as shown here. When you cut the building, when you cut the building from your important vertical connections like staircase or lift, it helps understand what is the floor height and whether you are able to achieve the clear height without any obstruction or not. So these informations are all possible through section, because in floor plan though you may show the presence of the location of lift and the staircase, but only the clear connectivity between the spaces can be visualized, between the levels can be visualized from your section drawings. So vertical connectivity like stairs, ramps and lift can be seen in your section, and then if there is any error in your drawing or error for the floor height, that can be corrected over there. So it ensures smooth floor transition. It highlights the vertical circulation design for the structure. Next is regarding floor to floor transition, that is sections show slab thickness. You can label this as, in the one in generally in the right side of the drawing we always label the spaces or label the elements, and in the left side of the drawing we try to depict the height of the spaces. So clearly here we will mention what is the height of the structure in this way, and also the internal clear height of the spaces. So this all is being represented in the drawing itself. Along with this furniture layout, the presence of human figure also denotes the entire scale of the floor, whether it is appropriate or not, because at times through dimension one or if the client also sometimes will not be able to understand that exactly whether the height that you have thought of for the project is suitable or not. So if you add human figures or all the design elements like presence of door and window, that gives a clear idea about the height, whether it is sufficient or not for the space. It ensures proportional accuracy as just discussed, and structural feasibility, that is where is the thickness of slab, the thickness of beam, all that is being represented in your section drawings. Floor to floor dimensions allow space for services, furniture, and also for the users. Then next is about integration of light. So sections show natural light entry through window, skylight and opening. So all this is possible with the help of sectional drawing, though you may show it in your floor plan, but clarity comes only through the section drawing. By showing such type of sections, one will understand how the light is allowed to penetrate the structure from windows, from skylights, or from atrium, or from internal courtyard of the structure. It helps design well lit and energy efficient spaces to have in your drawing. And if you think that okay, in your section you are finding some spots where there is no penetration of light, for example, if you have all these connected floors till this level, and then you understand that okay, the entry of light is possible only at till this space, and these spaces will all be left, your direct the lighting will be improper in this space. So you can think of some skylight on top of this, so that this space is also well lit during extreme seasons. It aids in predicting daylight pattern and optimizing the window placement. So all this is very important regarding the openings and fenestration. Next is the ventilation pathways. Sections illustrate ventilation and airflow strategies. So if you have any shaft, so though you represent that in your floor plan, but to visualize its effectiveness, section drawings illustrate this concept very clearly. It shows the opening, vent and air path, ensures healthy and comfortable indoor environment within the space. Then the representation of human activity and interior layout in your section drawing. Sections are very important to showcase the human activity, though you showcase that in your floor plan, but to visualize that how that space will actually be used, that can be understood from the sectional drawing. One will understand how the staircases are going to be used, how the internal spaces are going to be used, by placing human figures and showcasing the activities to be performed in all these spaces. Then the interior layout, the position of furnitures and fixtures with respect to the furnitures that you have thought in your floor plan, whether the building height is sufficient or that space is appropriate or not, all that can be understood from the section drawings, along with illustrating the structural clarity, that is the thickness of slab, the thickness of beam, and the position of columns, and all those spaces can be understood through the sectional drawings. Thereafter, there are different types of sections, different for specific purposes, by providing unique insights into the building's design and construction. So first is your longitudinal section, that is cut along the longest axis. Then is cross section, that is cut perpendicular to the longest axis, and then composite and detail sections, like if you change the level of that sectional line in your floor plan and try to showcase many details together, so that is also possible, along with the detail section, that is the detail section for your critical spaces like staircase, or maybe for the toilets, or maybe for the kitchen. So that these details are generally shown for the critical spaces in your design. So to explain more on the longitudinal sections, it cuts along the building's length as showcased here. The purpose here is to provide a continuous view of spaces and circulation and functional relationship between several spaces with each other. It is ideal for visualizing corridors, continuous halls, or the long structures of the if it is there in your design. It emphasizes spatial flow along the axis, how the movement of is possible within the spaces, how the spaces are connected with each other, and if there is any change that has to be done so that the activities can be performed within the space without any obstruction. So all these can be understood with clarity from the longitudinal section. Then next is cross section, that is the vertical cut perpendicular to the building's length, showing room and structure, analyze room proportion and ceiling height and vertical relationships. It helps you understand the spatial organization and structure. Also, the vertical arrangement of spaces and structural elements can be showcased. So generally for the thesis projects and for design submissions, we just ask students to draft minimum two sections. One can be from the from the long axis, and the other can be from the vertical vertical movement spaces. For example, it may be from your stairs, or maybe from lift, or also from critical spaces like kitchen and your toilets, because these are the spaces where your slab, generally the sunken slab is thought of. So that also has to be represented, and with clarity it has to be showcased to the client and to the site super engineer, so that they follow the same while designing the structure of the while constructing the structure in the site. So that is why these two sections are being asked, and these are the minimum requirements. You can obviously showcase other sections wherever you think are very critical and could help you justify the design decision. The next is detail section. As explained, the details about typical window or any specific place part of the structure. So all that can be showcased through the detail sections. Then next is about section drawing conventions. So line type and hatching has to be followed. So thicker lines are to be shown for cut elements. That is, for example, in this space, if the slab is being cut and beam, along with that beam, doors, window, and if there is any specific other elements that are being cut, like your railings or balcony spaces. So all those has to be shown with thicker lines and with more detail, and the spaces that are behind has to be shown with thinner less intensity lines. So that has to be followed. Hatching indicates material type. So for slab and beam, we will follow a specific hatching, so that can be showcased. Symbols and annotation standards, standardized symbol for door, window and level markers has to be shown. The levels have to be mentioned. Clear height of the spaces has to be mentioned. The total height of the structure has to be showcased in your section, and how the foundation is being designed for the structure, that also has to be showcased for the structure in your section drawing. So the key expectation and outcome of building section is that the contextual grounding is being is always explained. That is, it always showcase a clear ground line. Where is the ground line and how much below are you and what spaces are you planning below the ground level, so that if you have any basement, or if you have underground parking, or any specific spaces in your underground spaces, so all those have to be represented in your section, along with the foundation details. Human scale, it should include human figures to provide a sense of scale and proportion within the spaces. Strategic cuts, such as choose section lines that reveal the most significant detail of the structure, whether it can be from any double height spaces, or key circulation spaces, or vertical transmission spaces, or structural systems. These spaces are very critical, and the section line has to be from these spaces. Clarity and hierarchy, use varying line weight and precise hatching to create visual hierarchy and distinguish between different elements. So to conclude this presentation, architectural sections are more than a technical drawing. They are narratives that describe the spatial journey through a building, revealing its essence and complexity. So that is why building sections are very essential tools in architectural design. They communicate internal organization of spaces, structural clarity, and the functional relationship, because as I explained earlier, when you draft the building elevation, you cannot showcase the interior layout of spaces. So that can be visualized only through the section, and section gives more clarity to the structural aspect, also with the internal spaces, the organization of internal spaces, the connection between several spaces, and the height, the clear height that is present inside the structure with respect to the furniture and activity that is going to come up in that space. So all this information can be understood with more clarity only with the help of section, along with the provision for natural light, or if there is any shaft you have designed, so how is that effective in your design. So these can be visualized through the section drawings. So they also enhance the planning accuracy and construction understanding, that for example what is the total height of the structure, what is the thickness of slab that has to be followed while constructing the building, and beam size. So all this information can be gathered from the section drawings. So they also the mastery of section drawing leads to better overall architectural quality, because the details of the structure or the structural elements are understood from your floor plan. The horizontal dimensions are all understood from the floor plan, but the vertical aspect of those horizontal elements can be understood only from the sectional drawings, because from elevation we just understand from the point of view of material that is going to be used at the exterior spaces only. So these are some activities that are suggested to be completed at the end of this lecture, like given a site with distinct floor level changes, how could building section be used to resolve spatial transition and circulation continuity. So if you have floor level changes, your staircase is at different at the mid landing is at different level, and then you have your staircase at different level, like and these all are at different levels. So how your section that you because with the help of only section you could clarify all this confusion related to the change in levels in your structure, and also regarding the sunken floor, if you have introduced in toilets or in your kitchen, so that the services can be integrated seamlessly in your design, and you did not raise the floor for your toilet or for your kitchens to include all those pipes and all those traps for the different drains that are necessary in these spaces. So that is why your section drawings are to be drawn with that much of detail. So also the other question is, what challenges may arise in translating conceptual spatial ideas into precise section drawings, and what approaches could be taken to overcome them. So based on the learning, you can just try to answer this question, and if you have any questions related to this, you can ask during the question answer session. These are some some resources and readings related to the section, and then you can refer for better understanding on how to draft sections. Then in the next presentation, we will focus on the drawing conventions and details about site elevation, because if you have scattered planning for your architectural thesis or any architectural design project, so you require to draft you are asked to draft site elevation also. So to understand how the blocks that you have envisioned or that you have planned within a site looks or appears from a distant view, so that can be represented through site elevation. And to understand the scale of the building within your site, scale of different spaces within the site elevation is very important for that purpose, and especially if it has a slope or if it has contour, then site elevation provides much understanding about the entire site plan in totality. So that is why site elevations are important. So site elevation, the introduction to site elevation will be discussed in the next presentation. Understanding the site elevation in its context, responding to topography and terrain will be discussed. Integration with vegetation and adjoining structures, illustrating skyline, materials and scale, all these will be discussed in the next presentation, so that you are fully aware of how to draft site elevation and why site elevation is necessary for your project, and whether site elevation will help you answer some questions which are very much relevant for your project, and also to justify the design decisions. You may answer the question through the site elevation, because in site plan we just understand the placement of blocks, but if you have any hierarchy of spaces in your site plan, so that can be visualized only through the site elevation. So this is why site elevation is very important in such kind of projects. And with this I'd like to conclude my presentation, and I hope the details that has been discussed pertaining to building elevations will be very helpful for you to understand the importance of building section, how to draft building section, and from where can you insert a section line in your floor plan and then draft the section very easily with the details that are necessary to be showcased. So with this I'd like to thank you for your patience listening, and I expect to meet you in the next presentation focusing on building site elevation. Thank you.